The night a billionaire I barely knew stood up at his sister's wedding and told 100 people he'd paid me to be there. Every glass and every whisper froze, and for one long second, I felt my whole life hanging in the air with them. A fake girlfriend, a real family, $40,000 on the line, and my name dropped like a confession. If you think you know what you'd do in my place, let me tell you how a broke barista with 3 jobs ended up in that dress. My name is Ariel Sutton, 29, event coordinator on paper, survival specialist in practice. When this started, I was on the floor of my studio, eviction notice in one hand, red envelopes in the other, trying to choose which disaster to ignore. Student loans, my mom's hospital debt, power shut-off warnings, an ancient Honda that rattled like it was begging for mercy, that feeling you're running full speed and still sinking. You know what I mean. That afternoon, I had one thing keeping me upright, a meeting with a big-budget bride, the kind of client who could put my name on real invitations. I had mock-ups, timelines, hope. Then it rained, my wipers smeared, and on the highway, my car made this strangled noise and died. Hazards, weak phone at 5%, trucks blasting by. I put my head on the wheel, laughed once so I wouldn't cry, and an email slid in: exclusive opportunity, $40,000 for 3 days. I almost deleted it. Then I saw the signature: Gideon Blackwell, CEO, Blackwell Industries. Real, not scammy fonts and emojis. He wrote that he needed someone to accompany him to his sister's wedding in Napa pose as his girlfriend for 3 days, normal public affection, only strict NDA payment on completion. I thought, this is insane, this is a headline waiting to happen, but 40,000 could drag me out of the hole. While I'm staring, a collector calls, my battery ticks to 4%. A cop taps on my window. He calls a tow, asks if I need a phone, and I hear myself say yes. I dial the number in that email. One ring. Blackwell. Mr. Blackwell, this is Ariel. I got your email, I say. He explains like it's just logistics. His sister Rachel is getting married that weekend. The family is on him about being alone. Rachel worries about leaving him behind. He wants her to enjoy her day, so he decided to rent the illusion of a healthy love life. He needs someone his family will buy, someone real. 3 days clear, rules my choice. If you want details, meet me tomorrow at 9, he says, and that's it. When your options are guaranteed, wreck or possible wreck, possible starts to sound reasonable. So I went. His building was all glass and marble, lobby quiet like a church for rich people. The receptionist smiled. He's expecting you. Upstairs, Gideon looked like every article photo, sharp suit, cool eyes. But up close, there were lines that didn't show on Forbes. He thanked me for coming, laid out the NDA and contract. No greasy comments, no flirting. I asked, why me? He said, because my family would spot an actress. I had someone observe you at the coffee shop. You remember people, you don't fake it, you stand up for yourself. Rachel would be relieved if I showed up with you. Getting told I'd been watched should have pissed me off, but after years of feeling invisible, having someone notice the small things I did to keep my dignity felt twistedly validating. I thought of the eviction notice, my mother's voice telling me to fight, how tired I was of scraping. I signed. He wrote a check for $10,000. For clothes prep, whatever. Even if you back out, keep it. This is business. You're providing value. It's not charity. That line mattered. Next day at a cafe, we built our fake story, how we met at a charity gala I coordinated, how he'd been impressed, asked me out. In jeans and rolled sleeves, he seemed less untouchable. At one point, he took my hand to see if we looked natural together. I expected awkward. Instead, my shoulders dropped like my body hadn't gotten the memo that this was pretend. Friday, he picked me up at dawn. On the drive, he told me about his parents dying, about raising Rachel, about building Blackwell, so she'd never feel unsafe. I told him about my mom, about debt, about loving weddings, because for one day, people choose hope. No one else listening, no script. By the time we turned into the vineyard, I knew more about him than some people he'd worked with for years. The place was gorgeous. Rachel ran out barefoot, launched herself at him, then hugged me like we'd FaceTimed for months. "So, you're Ariel finally," she said. Thomas the groom shook my hand like I already belonged. Aunt Patricia's eyes were sharp, but she was polite. On the terrace came the questions. I stuck close to our story, but I used real pieces the way Gideon forgets his coffee, how I juggle shifts. They relaxed. Patricia even told him, "She's good for you," and squeezed my arm. My stomach twisted. The guest house had one big bed. Rachel winked and bailed. Gideon said, "I'll take the couch," and did. That night we walked between vines under string lights, and he admitted the plan was ridiculous. "I just don't want her worrying about me more than enjoying her wedding," he said. I got it more than I wanted to. The next day flew. Wine-tasting rehearsal dinner speeches. Rachel and I clicked over flowers and layout. She said, "He smiles different around you." Every time Gideon put his hand on my back, it felt less like an act, more like something my heart was getting attached to without asking permission. Then came the twist. Reception night, music lights, full dance floor. We were slow dancing, finally relaxed, when a voice said, "So this is the miracle worker." Vanessa, ex-colleague, all confidence and teeth. She looked me over. "Ariel Sutton, barista planner, overdue bills," she said softly enough to sound polite, loud enough for people near us. "How much is he paying you to fix his image?" The music kept going, but the air went sharp. My mouth went dry. Before I could speak, Gideon stepped between us. "That's enough," he said. She smiled. "Come on, they should know. You don't date suddenly, you show up in love," I checked. "This is convenient." She made sure Rachel and Patricia could hear. He could have spun it. He didn't. "You want the truth?" he said loud now. "I did hire Ariel to be here." Gasps, Rachel's face breaking, Patricia staring. I felt every eye hit me like a weight. But he kept going. He said he'd been wrong, that he'd tried to buy Rachel peace of mind, that I took the deal because he threw a ridiculous number at someone drowning. "Be mad at me," he said. "I created this." Then looking straight at me, he said, "But somewhere this stopped being an arrangement for me. I'm in love with her. That part isn't for show." Vanessa laughed. "That's cute," she said. "And you, Ariel, is this love or a paycheck?" I could have run. Instead, I told the truth. I said I took the deal because I was desperate, that I wasn't proud, that I understood exactly how it looked. And then I said I'd watched the way he loved his sister, how he never asked for credit, how he slept on a couch without a joke, how he listened when I talked about my mom. "I didn't plan to care," I said, voice shaking, "but I do. You can call me foolish. Don't call it fake." The tent went quiet. Patricia turned to Vanessa and calmly told her to leave. She left. Rachel, mascara streaked, looked at us and said, "You are both idiots. You lied to me on my wedding day. But I am not letting her garbage be the headline of my marriage. I'm going to dance with my husband. Later we will talk. For now, figure out if this is real or just guilt." That was it, the moment the story could have snapped either way. The band picked up, people slowly moved. Later in private, Rachel hugged me hard and whispered, "If you're playing him, I will bury you under these vines." And I believed her and weirdly felt protected by it. The next morning, driving back to the city, no music, just sunlight and nerves. Gideon parked outside my building and handed me an envelope. "This is the 40 we agreed on," he said. "You showed up. What I said last night wasn't part of our deal. You can take this, never see me again, and I'll respect it. But if any of it was real for you, let me take you to dinner Tuesday. No contract." Upstairs, I opened it. Check for 40,000. Note behind it, "The contract ends here. How I feel doesn't." I paid my rent, cleared the worst bills, sat on my crooked couch, and cried from relief more than anything. Tuesday, he showed up with takeout from the cheap Italian spot. No driver, no suit, just a man who'd blown up his image in front of his family and still looked me in the eye. We ate, we talked like two people without scripts. He offered to hire my business for Blackwell events at full rate. I told him I'd walk if it ever felt like a leash. He said he'd probably mess up and needed me to say so. We argued a little, laughed, kissed, without anyone watching. Months later, my client list wasn't just his company. Rachel was sending referrals, Patricia was sending sarcastic approval, and Gideon was learning that leaving work at 7 did not end the world. One afternoon, back at the vineyard between those same vines, he went down on one knee, hands shaking, and asked me to marry him for real. I said yes, knowing some people would never see past how it started. So now I'm asking you, was I wrong for taking that offer? When I was broke and cornered, was he out of line for trying to buy peace of mind? If you were, Rachel, could you forgive us? And do you believe something real can grow out of something that started off paid? Tell me in the comments. Be honest. Hit like if you stayed to the end. And tell me, in my place, would you have walked away from those 3 days or taken the risk?